Hello and welcome to Unit 7 of EDSE 614. Please work with your progress checks. I hope that the clarification via announcements was helpful. Please note that the progress check is not to cause stress or tension. We still have plenty of time in our course. Simply to make sure that we're on track, see how everybody's doing, and address questions or issues as they arise. I have received some really good and insightful, thoughtful questions, so I appreciate those. Please feel free to continue to pass those on. Unit 7 involves a couple different things. The first part you'll see here on the course schedule will be the activity discussion for that participation credit, and that is just like all the previous discussions that we've done, same expectations. Do you have another journal to begin? So you'll get going on journal number 3, and the prompts for that are included in Unit 7, so you will have those prompts accessible to you to get started. The one unique thing about this unit is that we do have a brief survey to take, which does not have any point credit. It's just a check-in. Feedback for myself, feedback for the university, as we're continuing to always monitor the effectiveness of the courses and the content and the delivery. So please do take that survey, give some feedback on the course objectives and making sure that we're on track at this point in the course. When looking at Unit 7 here in the course shell, you'll see that we're going to be talking more about function. And one of the reasons for our focus on function in this unit is to really get us ready for identifying an effective intervention. Interventions are obviously not one size fits all. One intervention may work for one student while it would be completely ineffective and unhelpful for the next. Very important that interventions are individualized and that they are geared and targeted towards student interests, and that's part of where the MAS comes in. So you have had access to the MAS previously, but it's also included here in this unit just for easy accessibility. You'll see this is something that can be filled out by somebody who works closely with the students. We're just going to identify some various factors, answering questions related to the behavior. It's a Likert scale. You'll see the measures here. So make sure that you are getting this taken care of and squared away to identify the hypothesized or likely function of the behavior of concern. And there are examples, so you can see how this was filled out for an example case, and then conclusions were drawn. And then here's a blank one for you. So this is the one that you will use, and the example will help you to see the structure for that. Part of what this lecture will describe is the fact that we often assume that behavior is attention-seeking, but please keep in mind there are other options for function, such as escape and avoidance or access to tangible items, and additionally, sensory behaviors. And we could see this with any student, but particularly we might see those with students who are on the autism spectrum impacted in that area, eligible under ASD, or have some kind of sensory processing situation going on and may have sensory seeking behavior. There is a function matrix here, and this matrix will be used for our participation activity. This is something that you'll fill in. So we'll take a look at this. These are the functions of behavior, and this is just a matrix that addresses sensory, tangibles, attention, and then we can identify whether this is to obtain attention or to escape or avoid attention, to obtain a tangible or to escape or avoid a tangible. You'll see examples of the data here. So here's our ABC data. This is from our observations. Teacher interview data, student interview data. So this will show us that attention is ranked very high as a possible function of the behavior. And perhaps for this child on the MAS, sensory could also be a function of a behavior. So that's an example for you, and items may also fall under this escape or avoid column. For instance, oftentimes we'll see to escape or avoid a sensory stimulus, such as loud noise, bright lights, many different things here where behaviors can occur for a student motivated to get out of that situation. So that is the matrix that we'll be using. We'll take a look at that for the participation activity. There is a video here for noncompliance. This is also Dr. Colvin, so I would encourage you to review this because it does address strategies, whereas previously we've been talking more about defining the behavior operationally and of course, identification of the function of the noncompliant behavior. So this will talk about strategies as a follow-up to what we have watched previously. For this unit, we will have journal number 3, just as we have done before. So you'll see that the prompts are here. Just want to make sure that you're addressing all of these. Journal number 3 will be due at the end of Unit 9. So we are continuing along in that pattern, those journal assignments. If you click on journal entry number 3, you'll see here the rubric. So this is letting you know which text components to address in each section. If you have a different edition of the text and you have concern about the alignment of that passage with the topics that we're discussing, please do let me know. I know that sometimes this can be off, but other times it's not affected. So I'm here to help if you have any concern about that. We'll go back to the Modules tab. We'll scroll down to our units, and you'll see that participation activity coming up after the journal entry 3 information. So you can see here that the initial post will be a discussion of how you would start to complete the function matrix. You're not going to post your matrix, but you're going to talk about what data sources, interviews, observations, ABC, data, what might you use, and then ideas on other functions. If you see something there that is not explicitly listed, feel free to include that. That's a good opportunity to brainstorm, and please do cite text as you discuss these topics in APA format. And then you'll have at least 2 responses. One will be with feedback to colleagues. Feel free to do more than one. And questions, comments, thoughts, and ideas, expanding upon what they have discussed in their post. That's a great opportunity to give some additional perspective and insight. And then finally, the other required response will be to upload a function matrix filled out with information that you have obtained from your students' MAS. So whatever relevant topics are coming to light as you look at that data and information, the MAS, the observations, the interviews, the baseline, please do put that into the template, fill out whichever boxes are relevant and appropriate. You want to be as detailed as possible. And then you'll post those. And I know that the response post deadline is the final day of the unit at 11:59 p.m., but I would encourage you to post these a little earlier than Sunday late in the day. And the reason is because that feedback component is so important. And if you don't get it done until the final hours of the unit, people probably won't have a chance to really review it, reflect on it, and respond. So that's just a side note about posting timelines. And then finally, this is the Connections and Expectations survey. So you'll see that our course objectives are listed. Course expectations are listed. Some of these we have done or started for the assignments, others we have not. See the journal entries that I mentioned here, participation activity, discussions, quizzes. So we'll just take a look. Again, this is not worth any points, but I request that you do complete it, please. You'll see these are just true, false questions. Has this or that been addressed? Do you feel comfortable or familiar with these particular topics? And that is the extent of this quiz. It should not take you too long. You'll just review and then submit. Feedback is really valuable for myself and for us as we continue to work to improve our courses and deliver this information to students. And that will be the end of Unit 7. As always, please reach out with any questions, and great luck to you getting started on the work for this week. Nice job with our previous unit. We'll be in touch.